Here's a quick video showing you how to log into the Anthem Hayden our website, and you can begin editing things like the event page. I sent you login credentials. So what you want to do is you'll go to anthemhayden.com, and if you type in /wp -admin, that'll just route you to this login page. Or you can do wp/login.php. Either one works. So you put in your login credentials here, and it'll take you to the dashboard. In here, you can see that's where we'll do podcasts. All the other settings, you shouldn't have to mess a whole lot in here unless you're changing the structure of the site. But if you go up here and go to visit site, you can kind of browse, and it enables this new bar up top right here, and that gives you some options for editing and getting into the back end. So for events, it's probably quick just to click on the events page, and there's two options for editing. You have a front end and a back end editor. So I'll show you the back end first. Just go to edit page, it'll automatically take you there, put you in edit mode. And here's the basic Divi layout where everything's kind of in blocks, in sections. Sometimes it's a little easier to see what actually exists there. You have the bigger container with the content inside, but you don't get a very good visual. But with the new version of Divi up here, you have visual options too, where it kind of gives you a front end view, so you actually know what you're looking at. So if you click any of these, they have desktop, mobile, and phone. But if you go to desktop, it'll kind of show you a quick expanded view of what's happening here. This is probably the easiest page to edit in because you can get back and forth between the block editor here and then a front end visual. Most people, if you're not very good at web development, the front end makes a little more sense because it's all visual, but it can also lead to some problems. It can be a little buggy. I use it, but just be forewarned that it doesn't function quite as well as the back end. Anyway, here's a section that I have saved. It's going to be a whole, this blue section is a container that holds all the upcoming events, and inside of them are the other level blocks, single layers, or single rows, sorry, of the events themselves. This one's grayed out because I have it disabled. To enable and disable, you'd right click and you'd go enable, and then you select the devices you want it enabled on. And to disable it, you do the same way. The reason it's disabled is should you accidentally goof something up or delete something wrong, you have this sitting in the background that you can just copy and paste and enable it. So right now, this is the only active element. So when you need to add something, say as barbecue coming up, you would come up here and you highlight the section. You can see it contains just the section where it can be duplicatable, and it just kind of fits nicely in a row. So you come here to this little duplicate row, little box here, and you do that, and it basically duplicates it out. So at this point, it makes it super easy. You have all the formatting and the boxes that line up nicely, and all you need to do is to change each element. We just hover over it and you click the gear icon, you come to image, and you can select the image. In here, you can find what image you can upload. Your images here, so you'd select file and upload the current image that you want to use. Then you hit the green check box should you want to save that, and then you can just change all the details. You might or might not need a button. If you don't need it, you just delete it. If you need it, you'll want to pay attention to a couple things. On the first level of content, you got the text that shows up in your button. By default, it'll do all caps. So here it doesn't really matter. But in the link is where you have to make sure you update the link for each button. That makes sense. You should understand that. So if it links to different forms or out to different websites, make sure you change it. Otherwise, it'll all link to the same thing as a high school conference. And that's basically it. So you'd edit all your stuff, and here, you would click the save button, and that would save and send live whatever you had going. To delete stuff, I'm going to delete this because I don't need it now. I'm going to just hover over the section, the green section. We don't want to do the blue sections, that's the whole row. You just go delete row, and there you go, it's gone. And so yeah, just remember, just keep one of these. It's good practice. Unless you're quick at building these things, just leave one disabled should you accidentally delete one. And you can save or not save, and that'll work. But if you go update, that's the same as saving it, but the update only functions in the block level. In this view here where you can't see the visual, it's easier to see how things are laid out. Like this is a whole section div, and then there's the rows. Sometimes you can do bigger sections quite a bit quicker this way. But let me show you now. Let's go to, if you go build on the front end, it'll take you to the front end builder, or if you come to the page like we did before, you navigate to the page and you go enable visual builder. It's very similar to what we were working on in the back end, except it expands the whole page. You do the exact same thing. You come here and you duplicate that section, go through. This is pretty accurate of what things look like. Sometimes it's easier to do some things here, but it can also get you into trouble where you accidentally move or bump little things such as padding or other things here. But when you're done here, you just click this little purple icon here, and it opens up new menus. We can actually see the block level, but you just click save, and after it saves and shows you a check mark, you go exit Visual Builder. Make sure you exit it, because otherwise it'll make temporary backups if you just leave it open for long periods of time, and it'll warn you next time you enter it, hey, there's been a previously backed up item. So that's what you'll need to know to edit the events page. I'll do another video on how to do the podcast, but this basic format functions for anything should you need to change time, such as gathering, and you want to change text here or layout. I would use Visual Builder for that because it's fast. You just click into enable Visual Builder and you come here and edit whatever you want to do.